recording.
Asman,
Are you all
we're
right there, sir?
recording.
We are recording,
Yes,
sir.
yes. I thought we'd go with some genuine authenticity today. As in, I'm just finishing my trees. I'll be with you. For those that can't see me on podcast, look. Can you
He's
see?
in a red robe for anyone who
No.
can't see. Oh,
Yeah.
he has wireless headphones.
I'm wireless. I'm
How does
full
it
on
feel?
wireless. It feels like I've got my wife's earpods in, is what I feel like. It was her birthday present that I've stolen for the podcast. And
That seems fair.
I know what's going on my Christmas list.
Yes, get the pros. They're highly recommended. Good set of
What?
headphones. Well, while he's doing the trees, welcome everyone to the short
No.
Convo.
I want to stop you there, I want to stop you there. I watched Dark Knight at the weekend. It gave me an idea, actually. I think we should do a movie special.
All right. Are we doing it now? Is this the movie special?
Not now. But no, I need to prepare for that. I think we should do a movie special. No, I was watching Dark Knight, and there's no intro to the start of Dark Knight.
Right.
There's no credits. There's no directed by or anything like that. It just starts.
It just kicks in. Unless
it's the story, the copy I was watching. But there's no. So I thought this week, let's have no introductions. Let's just talk.
We're just here.
And we'll do some credits at the end. Yeah.
I am stressed.
You're stressed.
That's where I would like to start.
You can't. I can hear it in your voice, actually. I can hear a bit of stress.
I have been non-stop from the moment I woke up today to the moment I've sat down to do this, and we can't even consider this stopping. It's been relentless today. And yeah, I am stressed. I am, engaged. I'm active. I'm ready to go. But that is the one word emotion, if anyone's wondering, for today, for me personally.
Yeah, you can hear it in the back of your throat. I can hear it.
I'm a bit raspy. That's also from doing 2 hours of classes for the first time in a long time. So that's, I was a bit excited. So I was yelling a bit.
Where's that gone? Dong. Yeah.
Oh, I was ready.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you brought that energy because the same. I've got a little bit of ranting to do as well today. Let's just catching up. We haven't caught up for a couple of weeks, so those that follow us on a week-to-week basis, we didn't do a post last week, did we? So I was away, and you were busy getting stressed. So yeah, we've got a little bit more to catch up on, haven't we? I can relate with you. I wouldn't say I'm stressed this week as such. Well, I am, I suppose, but it's one of the words I don't like to use. But I've definitely had the wind knocked out of my sails this week, a bit deflated. I've looked at it. What I've got really good at is identifying it. Looking back in my past history, I don't think I identified it. I allowed it to tumble further than it needed to, kind of thing. And I'm really good at identifying it and managing it now. There's not necessarily a one trick out of it. This one seems to be carrying it a bit longer. But I think looking at it, we've come back off of holiday, and it's a bit of those holiday blues. And I'm just fed up with it all, to be honest, this week, with this whole shit story of a COVID.
See, I can't even bring myself to say the word anymore. That's how far I've gone with it. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want anyone's opinion on it. Because I'm just done, completely done. But I tell you, the reason I use the word stressed, because I don't like that word either, is every time I go to the doctor for anything, which as far as I'm concerned is unrelated, that's the only question I get asked. Because they check everything else and they go, are you dealing with any unusual stress at the moment? And I'm always, saying, well, no more than usual. I have work, I have my personal life. But I think the problem is sometimes by not using that word, I pretend like I'm not stressed. And then it builds into a problem beyond being stressed. So I think I try to, like you said, try to identify it and accept it, and then do something about it rather than just letting it snowball and bottling up until I explode and attack someone and kick them in the face.
Yeah, Yeah, I can see it build. Like I was even having it before we went away. You know, that sort of build up before you go away and you got to get everything done. Literally the Monday morning we were going camping, I was on the laptop and I still had 20 emails I had to reply to and everything else. And I just went, fuck it. And I just shut the laptop down and said, it can wait now. It can wait now, because otherwise we would have never got away. And I started that week implying a just smile. And I find that is a really good tool out of it, even if you're feeling really shit inside. Like, I'll be honest, just doing this podcast was a challenge today. Like, there's a lot of things during the day that I do that, you know, some people would be a challenge, like teaching or that kind of, but I just automate it and I just do it. And like these podcasts is usually, you know, you get the light set up, you get laptop set, it's just automated. But like today, I had to grind it out. I had to be like, right, you got to do this shit. You got to get on it. And I find if you just smile, it has an effect on yourself. It just lifts the mood and it lifts those around you and everything else. Yeah, that's one of the tools that I use to getting out of it. And then it's just like a distant memory. But what about you?
Well, can I tell you something that I saw the other day, and I'm still not sure on my feelings of it. Someone posted something about something called toxic positivity. You ever heard this term thrown around?
No, I'm going to say I have, but you know when you've got, I was talking to someone else about this the other day, you know when you have a childhood memory and you think it's not a childhood memory because it's photos you've seen and stories your siblings or your parents told you and you fabricated it. So I'm going to say it's one of those. No, toxic positivity.
I'd never heard of it before, and someone posted about it, and it's basically... It's kind of attacking what you just said of always trying to look for the positive or always trying to be a positive person and never allowing yourself to be negative. And I don't know how I felt about it, because my initial reaction to it was, that's just ridiculous. And you're just trying to justify being a negative person by labeling positive people as toxic. And then I wasn't sure if it doesn't mean that, and it's actually talking to people who are being fake with their positivity online, with an online presence. It's just a tricky one. The word came up, and I've been pondering it because I'm not quite sure if I believe in it. If I believe there's such thing as toxic positivity, or is that just people being unresponsive to positive people?
I would like to say with what you said, it's a bit deeper than it needs to be, in my opinion, but people are looking at those toxically being happy, like they're portraying, they're saying the right things, they're all of those kind of things, just, you know, the fakeness of it. That's what I would say is a toxic positivity, the fakeness in it. There's no authenticity in it. For me, I'm 100% positivity, and there's no toxicness in my positivity. I do it. I believe there is a choice. It is as simple as black and white. You're either positive or not. I don't think there's like a grey area in this. We're not talking about being relaxed and calm. It's, you know, the glass is either half full or half empty. It isn't just a glass with water. And I will always steer on the side of positivity, partly down to the mental health, the experience that I've had with very close family and where that took it. And it's like I'm only one way with that.
Yeah. Well, I agree, because I'm the same way, and I try to always look at the positive and find the positive, because you just find if you go the other way, it's just a one-way trip to hell. It's not going to take you anywhere good. So
this week has been quite toxic for me. You know, like I said, the sales have been deflated, and it's like the shit that starts coming into your head, the negativity, the thinking over things that don't need to be thought over, that are in boxes well away, that don't need to be brought up. It's all that kind of stuff starts to come up, and it's like, man, I can't go there. No. So if this person's referring to toxic positivity as in the fakeness of a non-authentic self, of, you know, social media posts and everything else, then I completely but that's quite a deep and different conversation. I think that's, you know,
I think so.
you're talking about people's self-esteem there. But if they're talking about someone being positive and it's toxic to them, I'd like to punch them in the face.
Yeah, I found myself getting, I don't know I found myself getting angry at it. That was my initial response to it was like, why are you trying to attack positivity? That's just a really messed up thing to do. It's, especially if people are trying, because for, like we've said a lot, it takes effort to choose to be positive and to try to look on the bright side of things and find the lesson in things rather than just play the victim. So, someone's putting in that effort to feel that way and to push their mind down that direction. And then your decision is to attack that. It just blows my mind sometimes. I don't know.
To me, it's like taking candy off of a baby.
Yes.
It's like, you shouldn't do it.
Low-hanging fruit. It's
just wrong.
It's kicking someone when they're down. It's just a strange attitude to have to the world. I just can't relate to what's going on. I can't even empathize with what would be going through someone's head to feel the need to act that way.
Agreed.
Good.
Well, I feel like we're letting stuff out today, and so I would like to have a few minutes of your time for a rant. And I'm going to start this rant off. You may or may not agree, but do you have a dishwasher to start with? I know you've got Anne, but you shouldn't really say that. But
you're going to get us told off for mansplaining again.
As in, she tells you to do it.
Yeah, that's better.
As in, a dishwasher, don't you? Like,
I'm familiar.
I've got a real problem with cutlery being up the wrong way in the dishwasher. As in, like, utensils, rather. So having knives and forks, they should be down in the rack.
To get the splash from the bottom. Yep. Okay.
No, just safety. Just safety. What if you fell on all those knives and forks sticking up?
5 people a year, apparently.
Yeah. Whereas if they're face down and you fall on them, they're all like not so blunt, but handles.
Not a serrated knife.
Have you had a moment where you've been bothered by that?
Not by that, but by something of that nature where I guess in the grand scheme of things it's not a big deal, but the cumulative thing of seeing it again, for us it's called the cheese in the cheese toasty machine. So my thing is if you're going to make a cheese toasty, you then must remove your excess oozing cheese.
You wipe it up,
and when people don't
while it's still warm
and it's a quick easy job and it takes 1 second rather than leaving it for the next person where it's then a real pain in the ass. So I completely see where you're coming from. Carry on.
Like, there's levels of this dishwasher utensils. Like, I like to park whatever it would be, like little spoons, forks in the same one, knives. If they're mixed up, it's not a biggie, but definitely not face. No, my actual rant, actually, I just thought I'd bring that out. My actual rant, and this is a rant that I've had forever, and it really, really bothered me the week before last, is litter. I walked from our dojo, if you want to hit the bell. Well, no, it's not even martial arts related, is it? I walked from our dojo to town, which is a good half an hour walk. And if I carried, like, I always pick up litter. So if I see a bit of litter, I always pick it up, unless it's just not going to be practical to do so. If we're talking a bit of rubbish that you're going to have to walk around forever. I always pick it up, drop it in the nearest bin. And this litter I saw was mainly around like a bus stop or somewhere where there is a bin as well. And if I carried a trash bag, like a full-size bin liner with me, I would have filled it up 5 times on this walk. And it's just unnecessary litter. We're all probably guilty of littering at some point. I can remember as a kid doing it, looking back. We're all probably guilty of unintentionally pulling something out your pocket and a bit of paper falls out or something like that. But I'm talking, it was just discard after discard. And I just find it so disrespectful. I know there is like littering fines and that kind of thing, but there should be more done about. I just had to rant about this a bit because I think it's so disrespectful to the person that's doing it. Ultimately, you're disrespecting yourself, your environment, other people. It's something that always bothered my mum, and I've seemed to have inherited it. And this particular walk into town, it was just disgusting to see.
It's a fair thing. I live in southeast London, so I'm almost numb to it because it's prevalent here. It's everywhere. You can't go anywhere without seeing a lot of litter. And it was only highlighted to me when Anne moved over. My wife moved over from Germany, and she's from a very small town, and she noticed how bad it was and how much there was. And she kept pointing it out, and I was like, God, yeah, you're right. It's really bad. I completely get it. And it's just, there seems to have been a real lack, I assume, of education, because it just doesn't seem to be built into the culture for people, for a lot of people to just put away your rubbish, because it's not hard. It doesn't require any effort. It's not difficult.
And we have the infrastructure for it as well.
We do. Yeah,
I've been to other parts in the world where there's literally rubbish accumulating on the side of the roads because they don't have dustmen, because they don't have a system for waste. But we do. And like that takes on to the next thing, which is just waste itself, where we've got a big tip where we are in Crawley, where you chuck it all over, and I don't like going to the tip for the reason of seeing the waste. But when you do, like the mountain of cardboard, let alone like scrap metal, kind of, I get my head around a bit more because you can melt it all down and it can come back as something else. But then you go to just the general house waste. It's colossal. It's colossal, the waste out there. And you spoke on a previous podcast about minimalism, but this is a little bit different, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of being a bit more cool. We're really trying to minimize plastic, single-use plastic in our house. So things like we've got metal straws and we use metal drinking bottles and stuff like that. And we really try to actively minimize our impact, even though it's tiny. And I don't know why it's not more of a thing, but that's been a very personal decision for us. That's not come from my schooling or from, adverts on TV or anything like that. It's been, so I think that's what's lacking. I don't know if we get enough as a society kind of promotion and information about doing stuff like that to encourage more people to do it.
Like, I'm first of all approaching the whole litter thing from a personal perspective. I just don't like seeing untidy things. I'm not talking about just an untidy desk or an untidy bed. I'm talking about rubbish that shouldn't be there. I'm not. Yeah, I suppose I am OCD about it, but I just find it really disrespectful. Maybe I'm a little bit too on that. But then the waste side of it. Is it something that's getting better or getting worse, or is it something that actually needs addressing? Where are we with it?
It's a big problem. It's a massive problem. So like single-use plastic in particular, especially the non-biodegradable stuff, this basically means that it's been man-made and it's not going anywhere. So there's no way of recycling it and reusing it, and it will not, in like, we're talking hundreds of thousands of years, it will not decompose. So
it's going somewhere. It goes into the bloody sea, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Is it's just being dumped, and now it is pouring over into the sea, and it's killing fish, and dolphins are coming up dead, and if they cut them open, and they're just full of plastic. It's just a huge problem, huge, and it's not being addressed anywhere near as seriously as it needs to be. It should be almost illegal for people to even produce any more of this stuff. Yet it's constantly produced and it's constantly purchased and used. And that's just one thing. I'm sure there's tons of other materials and things that are happening. That's just.
I think I've noticed the last few weeks, which is a common waste on the floor now, is a mask. That's now a common common waste.
Huge problem.
I know we're in this pandemic and everything, but it's almost like we all, no plastic bags and all of that. All of our shopping now arrives in a plastic bag. And it's like, I'm taking the shopping out of the plastic bags and saying, I don't want them. And we're trying to give them plastic bags back and they're saying, we can't take it. And it's like, there's a bigger problem kind of, we don't worry about all that right now.
In Sainsbury's, because people are still to this day hoarding food and over purchasing, eggs are now going back to being packed in plastic because they can't produce the cardboard cartons fast enough. So in Sainsbury's, they've now reverted backwards to packaging them in plastic. So now we consciously won't buy them, and we'll buy like an organic egg. It costs more, but it's just for the principle of not buying this stuff. Yeah, because it just seems to be their go-to answer for anything when things go wrong. It's cheap, easy to make, and they don't really seem to care about the damage it does, and it's massive. It's a real issue.
Yeah.
And it's nasty.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no more to say really on that, is there? It's
unfortunate. I wish I could make you feel any better, but I feel very similar to you about it. It makes me angry when I think about it, and I'm not sure what the solution is other than to educate people more. And I don't mean that as a condescending thing, like I'm better than you and I know more than people, but I just think the only reason that you would do that is because you don't know and understand the effects you're having. Because if you knew, I just can't imagine that most people I know that I would consider good people would behave like that or would do something that's causing that kind of damage.
Do you reckon you could typecast where the waste comes from? Like maybe one's getting on dodgy ground saying this, but like for instance, the teenagers at the park or the fast food outlets, or do you think you could typecast the majority of waste, or we're just all, when it all goes into a landfill or whatever they do with the waste, burn it into the sky, drop it into the sea? Do you think we're all somewhat contributing, even if we're not in the park dropping the litter, we're buying the plastic item? Are we all contributing?
Let's not walk on eggshells, because I think we might as well have a bit of controversy if we're going to do this. I would say that it's probably, and this is just an assumption not based on any knowledge, that it's probably more of a working class problem, as in the poorer you are, the less likely you are to care, the more likely you are to have and consume and use plastic. And some of that is just going to come out of, like I said about the eggs, you're going to buy the cheapest eggs, you don't care about the packaging. What you care about is feeding your family. And if that means you're going to buy eggs in plastic, then that's what you care about. Priority number one. You're not going to buy a £20 drinking bottle. You're just going to buy the £1 plastic one from Sports Direct, because all you want is a water bottle. So they're more inclined, because plastic is cheaper and we can use it more. I think as you go up, you get different problems. Like a rich person will buy a Range Rover that's a gas guzzling giant and spits out fumes all the time. Whereas a poorer person won't be able to buy a car that can even produce that kind of damage. So I think we do it in different ways. But yeah, I would say things like plastic waste is a poor man's problem in terms of who it's being produced for and who's probably consuming it the most. That'd be my guess at it.
Yeah, I'd like to see in our time something being done about it more. It'd be nice to see it as more of a prevalent thing that is being sorted out. Be it just to walk to town, you don't have to walk past rubbish all the time, just because people are more thoughtful of what they're doing and that.
You see an American film and they got the paper bag for their food shop.
Yeah.
Why is that just not the thing? That's what I don't get stuff like that. And they've now made these biodegradable bags for your food waste, but why aren't these just all bags now? Why aren't all bags just made that way? And the only thing that I can come to is that it's not good. It's not economical. Yeah, it's too expensive. And that's the priority. And that's where our priorities seem to lie more often than not.
Yeah.
Same with clothing. If you want to buy cheap clothes, you're going to buy clothes that are made in a sweatshop, and you're not going to care about the damage it does to the world or people or communities. All you care about is, I need a t-shirt, so I'll buy the cheapest t-shirt I can buy. Whereas if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford more expensive clothing, you can make those decisions. But a lot of people are not in a position to even have the opportunity to make that decision because they couldn't even afford to, let alone have the space to think about it. You hear it a lot when people are asking for charity and they go, well, charity, how about me? I'm barely able to feed myself. I'm not thinking about giving to charity. And it's the same. They're not thinking about where their clothes come or where their food comes from or where the packaging comes from, because they got problems closer to home. Yeah. It's kind of a problem of people who are lucky enough to have those problems and to think about them, I guess.
Well, I feel better talking about it, if nothing more. So.
If nothing more. Well, that's it. I think we should all try and do our part. We could all definitely do more. Everyone can do more. But yeah, that's all we can do, I think, for the time being.
So how are you going to sort out your stressful week? Are you going to have it all sorted, part complement, or whatever the word is I'm trying to think of, by the end of the week?
Something needs to be hit. That's all I know. So I am going to find a way of hitting something, hopefully an inanimate object. And then it will be all good. And, we've talked about the pressure plate, and stress is a tool that you can use. So I'm well aware of it. But yeah, at some point we're going to have to open the vent and I'm going to have to pour it out onto something.
Well, get down on Saturday. The door is open. If it's a
thing, I will christen one of your new freestanding.
That's what it's always about. I wrote something down to discuss with you, and I think it's something. I think we're all being faced with stresses at the moment. Stresses that are out of the norm in an unprecedented time, and from the kids to going back to school, going back to work, to us adults, and to the whole thing. I think we're all under different kind of stresses, which creates stress. I think we're all always under stress, aren't we? But it creates a different kind of stress that then builds up. I think it's really easy to think at times that the grass is greener on the other side. And is that like what is that? Is that a kind of a safety mechanism? But in some ways, it's not a good thing. It's like people in relationships, for instance, or in work, or I can't think of another example where you start to think about, well, if I just changed or just stopped, and you think that the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not necessarily, you'll find yourself there and be like, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I guess it's a survival mechanism, because if, the first man stayed in the cave and never went anywhere, we wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. So we've explored and we've expanded, and we are always looking to the next horizon. I think where we've gone wrong these days is we think we can fix our problems by just moving away from them. But your problems follow you, because the problem isn't that your wife isn't the one for you anymore. It might be that you're a shit husband. You might just not be a good partner, and therefore you've ruined that relationship, and you're going to go to another one which will start fine, and then you'll ruin that relationship. So I think a lot of problems can be fixed by looking inwards rather than looking outwards to where you can go to fix them.
What's getting me a bit at the moment is from like a club, a martial arts club, a business point of view, is we're going to smash it today. We back in March, one was in a really good place, as in built up lots of really good systems, had a real good start to the year with new people coming in, and then the success of the club itself with the members, with what they were achieving, it was at a really good point, and then it all just like literally come to a stop. We've sort of limped along through the Zoom online experience, and we're crawling back in now to a face-to-face. We're not even at half capacity of what we'd normally do, and everything else. And I think that's what's frustrating to me at the moment, is trying to get back to where we were. But it's almost like you got your hands tied behind your back. to a point, and then everyone else, the people on furlough, losing their jobs and everything else. And what I'm trying to tell myself is just trust the process. Just trust. I feel like I need to be up every hour, every night right now, working. But I don't think that's actually going to get us any quicker to where we need to go. I just need to trust the process. Just know what I'm doing is right. And yeah, trust the process.
Yeah, I'm reading the book Atomic Habits at the minute, and it's all about, the science of developing habits. And it talks about relying on your systems and not relying on your goals. So if you're always looking at your goals, what you're basically telling yourself is you'll be unhappy until you reach your goal. And then you're living in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction with where you are in life, because it's always about getting to the goal. And instead, what we need to do is put in systems in place which move us towards the goal, and just focus on every day getting up and implementing those systems, and then having, like you said, having faith in the system, and knowing that your experience and your expertise and just putting in the time will pay dividends in the long run. But at the minute, I think it's just so hard to see, because everything has just been so thrown up in the air, and we still don't know where we're at, and no one can say for sure. No one can give us a deadline on anything, but it's therefore more important than ever to just trust the system, because the finish line now actually isn't even in sight. So you just have to kind of have faith that you just keep running, just keep swimming, in the words of Dory the fish.
Yeah. Who? What? Where?
What? But yeah, I think that's where we're at with all of that.
Much plan for the rest of the week? Actually doing wise? You going anywhere, doing anything?
We're like you said, we're back into classes for those of us that are in this industry. So we're just this is our first week of reestablishing all of that stuff. That's going to be it. It sounds like I'm about to lose my voice as we come to the end of this podcast, either way. And then I do plan on getting across to you and hitting one of your new shiny freestanding punch bags.
Well, I think we should leave it at that and do you've been listening to Short Convo podcast with Jacey, Too Fast You Warrior of Light, and
Asmiralai. Thank you for listening, guys, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.
Boom.